Yo, what's up, you beautiful bitches out there, boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome back. Glad you made it. It's another social production. We're doing it on Friday, March the 10th, 2023. Thank you for joining me here once again. Glad you made it. As per usual, where can you find these videos? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dropped on Instagram. Follow me there if you like, subscribe on YouTube, and check out patreon.com/robsadri. Again, once we get going, things go up, down, sideways. We talk about everything and nothing. Thank you for joining me. Again, if you're here in Canada, anywhere, shout out to you, whether you're in Toronto, out there in Vancouver, somewhere in between, in the middles, up north, in the Northwest Territories, in the Yukons, near the North Pole, doing it big. What's up? Everybody else down south in the US, Mexico, South America, over there in Greenland. What are you doing in Greenland with all that land? And why is it called Greenland? It's covered in ice. Or is that just a little, oh, we'll just call it Greenland. Make sure when everybody's flying over it, we'll show a display of it covered in ice so nobody comes over, and all that land is all yourself. Whose is it? It's our land. It's Greenland's land, but it's, man, let's go to Greenland. Also, shout out to Europe, wherever you are. I hope you're safe and sound. I know things are a little, but you know what I mean. It comes from the heart. I genuinely hope you're safe and sound wherever you are. Africa, Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, my fellas. Are we going about what's going on today, on what's on the schedule today? Is somebody out there doing anthropological research? Let's do a little group kidnapping or man-napping, you know what I'm saying? Just get in there, have fun with it. It's what it is, man. Wherever else you are on the islands, on this beautiful planet, I hope you are doing well. It's Friday. I hope you had a great week thus far. And let's get into the farts and arts and sharts as well. Undervalued, underappreciated sharts. Because that's like, it's the best of both worlds. You know, you're releasing the gas, but you're also shitting in liquid form, which is, again, everybody's like, when it comes to dropping deuces, I likes to go solid. But the sharts is like, it's for 2023 and beyond and above. You feel me? It's for the person, that's for the go-getters. I respect a person who sharts and goes about their day, you know what I'm saying, ladies, gents? But, not all heroes wear capes, so that's nothing new. But, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode, excuse me, let me clear the old throat. It is International Women's Day, or it was, and I forgot. Because I'm in the hustle and bustle of life, but that doesn't mean that daddy might be a little bit late. You know what I'm saying? Poppy might be a little bit late, but I've been, it is Women's Day. It's Women's Day every day. All day, every day. One day more so than the other days, but it's Women's Week, internationally speaking. And you want a job well done by a woman, sending a man dressed as a woman. That's what I'm talking about, ladies. You know what I'm talking about? You wanna just demolish all competition in your lane, whether it be swimming, gymnastics, boxing, MMAs. Ladies, there's a fella willing to dress up and show you how it's done, and we give out awards for it. Nicely done. And that's what it is. Excuse me, bless you, thank you. But that's what it is, man. I've been thinking about it myself. I think, it's been a while since I won any awards. I would love to win some awards. I haven't won anything. I don't think I ever won any awards. Not anything like, but I think it's time to, just call myself a lady and go and compete out there. I think I'm gonna do triathletes. I'm gonna do 3 sports in one. I'm thinking of mixing golf with a little bit of rugby, with a little bit of pool. Why not? A little bit of the old snooker, golf, rugby mix. Maybe a little bit of sharp shooting. Maybe a little bit of dull shooting. You know what I mean? Because everybody's like, oh, can you aim straight? But can you aim crooked? I do well with aiming crooked, at least when it comes to standing up and peeing. Thank you very much. Doing it big, ladies and gentlemen. Doing it big, doing it medium, doing it small, all around the world, wherever you are. It is International Women's Day. And women, thank you out there for the OGs of the labias. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to labias. Shout out to the old fallopian tubes, if you got them. Thank you very much. The ovaries. Releasing of the eggs. Holding on to them very closely and then releasing a couple here and there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you. Go ahead, and it is International Women's Day. If you've got your mother with you, if you've got your granny with you, go out and high five them on the old crotchal region, if you will, on the old snatch, on the old, vertical smile, if you will. Go ahead and, or, stick your head inside just for old time's sake, just to be like, you know what, lest we forget. Or let us not forget where we come from. So go ahead and stick your head up your mom's uterus, just to say hello and watch it echo. You know what I mean? Hello, 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 and it's just good for everybody to know where you came from. Again, grandmas can also be, that give that same love for grandma, because that's where it all started. The old lady who can barely walk today. Guess what, fella? Once upon a time, before you were anywhere existing in this world, she was slanging vag, dude. Slanging vag heavily. Just grandmas going to town trying to find their mates, and then eventually settling down with your grandpa, who you love dearly. And your grandpa, guess what your grandpa loves? Old grandma badge. That's right. Shout out to all the ladies out there. Thank you for all the breast milk. Thank you for the different sizes of areolas. Thank you for all the different shapes of breast assists that you ladies have. It's wonderful. I'm talking saggy tits. I'm talking perky tits. I'm talking everything in between. Sizes A through Z. Au naturel. Or sometimes augmented, maybe because like you were a little bit perhaps insecure, or maybe you have fake tits, and there's nothing wrong with fake tits. Maybe you're a avid swimmer and surfer lady, and you happen to go surfing and swimming on the West Coast. Nothing big. We just do, we ride the surfs, we surf the rides, we ride the waves, we catch gnarly waves, we cowabunga together, and sometimes you get a tit bitten off by a shark, and there's no crying in baseball. You know what it is. So that's when you just punch that fucking shark in the nose, grab your tit, swim back to the shore, and stitch it on. Or you know what, it's maybe chewed up. You're like, oh no bueno, I'm gonna have to get a plastic tit. No worries, we do that nowadays, which is fantastic. So yeah, sure, you can no longer breastfeed through that one, probably, I'm gonna guess, unless they've made new technologies, unless we've made new advancements that I'm not aware of, and I'm not aware of everything that we do in the plastic surgery world, because like, how could you be if you're not in it to win it? And I'm not in it to win it. I've never been like, even like, but I watch from afar. I'll be like, oh man, plastic surgeries, doing it, man, doing it. We're doing a lot with tech. Just reading, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I love the times that we're living in. It's interesting. It's a little bit like, whoa. And then, we're doing it and we're figuring it out together as we go along the way. And yeah, traditionally up until very, very, very recent times, it was like, oh man, how do you make a babies? You get a man and a woman, you put them together, you put on some music, you have them dance, you maybe have them go out, maybe have them come back in, maybe, and then eventually you'd want them to remove the clothing items, and then bang, 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 until some sperm is ejaculated from the male testicles in through his urethra right into the vaginal opening, saying hello, 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 vulvas, labias, fallopian tubes. Have you seen the egg? Where can I find, curious sperms looking for eggs, and then they'd find the egg, and knock, knock, not everybody was able to get in, but the one that got through, there you go, that's your baby. That was up until very recent, but we're embarking on new frontiers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I've been reading some articles. It's been, it's delightful to know that we can do all these things. We're doing gene editing, and I'm a little bit fascinated because sometimes it could be, it could be helpful in some sense. It could be helpful. We're doing gene editing. We're doing all sorts of things to help with diseases such as sickle cell is a thing. It's like a blood disease, if I'm not mistaken, where your blood, it gets sticky. And then that's real science, and it clogs your arteries and shit. And then you go, oh man, this is no good. So we're fixing that with gene editing. I read some article depicting a lady who went through that, got her sickle cell fixed. Her cells are no longer sickle. She's kicking ass. She's living life. So that's great news. We're also, but that's like, and we're also having debates whilst we're doing it, because like how far do we take it and when do we, because like do you go ahead and gene edit at the hereditary state, like I'm talking, we soon will be able to do that. They're testing it out. They say it's going to be available ish in the next 10 to 20 years. We've already been working on it collectively, and not me personally, because like, everybody's got things that they're good at. I'm not good at working on just like one single sperm or like one single egg at a really zoomed in perspective. Like I can't put on a lab. I can put on a lab coat. Actually, I have put on lab coats. Could I look through a lens? Absolutely. But that's where I draw the line. Personally, that's where I'm like, you know what? I read the world is my oyster. The world is my science lab. The world is my experiment. We're experimenting. That's what I'm doing out here, and that's what it is. That's why I chose not to, that's why I appreciate everybody doing their thing. So we're doing gene editing, which is fascinating. And now, again, all these things with the text, the gene editing, trying to create sperm and eggs just from human skin. I don't know how we do it, but apparently we've done it with mice, and we took two mice babies. No, we took two males. We took two male mice, and then we took their skin cells, and then we turned those skin cells into stem cells, and from those stem cells we grew both an egg and a sperm. And then we had the egg and the sperm, and something happened with more science and zapping of the lasers and concentrating and really being focused on your craft. And eventually we made recently mice using two male mice, and now we're like extrapolating and saying, man, could we do this with humans? And up until very recently, if it was, again, you wanted a baby, you had to go, man, I gotta find a male with a peen and a female with a vag, au natural, biological, with all the equipments, the essentials. You can't, it's not one of those things, you didn't want to go out and buy like an IKEA male or female where some of the parts are there, some of them have to be assembled, there's always screws involved, the job is never done, and when it's finished you got some extra remaining parts. You're like, what is this? And does it even work? I mean, it looks like it works, but does it really? So these are all things that we're doing. I'm excited about it, I'm excited in the portion where we're like helping sickle cell people and other individuals who are like, if you're putting on shin pads and tackling, I don't know, HIV, tackling whatever you're tackling your neighbor. I want you to be having those, like, the best chromosomes, the best genome. If we're all edit your genes right now, fam. You don't know me. If I could, I'll edit your genes right here, right now, and I'll get in there. But that's what it is. Traditionally speaking, that was and this is not, you're like, yeah, I know these, and I know these things too. It's interesting to hear, because right now we're, the back and forth between like, what do we do with people who genuinely want to transition and they're as of age? What do we do with our trans population? I've said it before, man. We make their own, if they're competing in sports, make their own sports leagues, and there's like, because that's what it is. There's just, so that we can move forward, make their own sports leagues, make their own bathrooms, make their own. That's basically pretty much the only issues that I can think of right now off the top of my head that are concerning to people, because that's what it is. And also like their own prisons too, because that's what it is. You hear people like committing all sorts of crimes and shit, dudes with fucking the XY chromosome just fucking heavy on the stash, I'm talking about, going in there and like murdered a few peoples out there, and they're like, oh, I'm about to go to jail, let me call myself a trans woman and go into the female cells. And what happens there? They end up sometimes getting some ladies pregnant and or hurting other ladies, which is like, man, all this could have been avoided if we just built. And it's just like, I'm pretty sure we got a few extra like prisons. Just empty a few out, put those, distribute the prisoners in other prisons, and then like empty out a couple of prisons, or just, a couple of the good prisoners, let them out on the streets, like or not, I'm just talking, loose ideas off the top of the head, put some of them in other prisons, empty out a particular prison or two, or 3, however many. I don't think there's, if even less than 1% of the population is trans, which is what we're saying, that's 80 billion people. The global estimate, I would say, is probably we got 80 million trans people, couple of facilities dedicated to trans prisoners, boom, issue solved. No more women's getting raped in prison by men calling themselves trans women. If there's any raping of women going on in the women's prison, it'll be done by other women. And that's not saying it should go on or anything like that, but I'm just saying at least it'll be like, oh, just a couple of broads just, trying to dominate the old, who wants to, you want to use this bench press? Oh, smack her with a tit, dude. That's Betty. That's Betty doing it big. She's holding it down. You don't get bench time in these streets, not a street because it is a confined space. You don't get bench time in this confined space unless you talk to Betty and give her your milk money. Milk, cigarettes, milk cigarettes, cigarette milks. And that's just pure prison lingo, fam. Not been there, but like I could imagine fucking like it's bench time and Betty's about to just get swole so all her other chicks can get behind her and be like, you're the best, Betty. And she's got quads for days and she's just benching and benching and benching and she's taking a rest. And here you are, it's your brand new day on the new, welcome to the playground, player. Welcome to the bed, and you got your ponytails all parted up real nice and braided, and you think you're just gonna walk up to Betty and her bench and be like, yo, scoot over, it's my turn, her bench, and she'll be like, nah, fam, these streets, confined spaces are run by Betty. Betty bench press, they call me, is what she'll say. And that's a fair fight. Not some sort of, we're not putting on a masquerade where Betty's just in her zone dominating and everybody's like, yeah, man, yeah, this is the matriarchy, baby, and there's a hierarchy to this shit, and Betty runs shit in this sphere, at least there's, you know what I'm talking about, and then you walk in there, you're like, oh, the matriarchy is about to get fucking like shook, son, and you go in there, you're like, scoot over, Betty Boo, scoot over, it's time for me to bench, and get in there, and she'd be like, take a hike, Jacqueline, and Jacqueline will be like, take a look at this sunshine hitting right above my lips. What do you see there? Oh, a thick mustache, or whatevs. It's got, and then take a look at this profile, and you lean to the left or to the right and show her your Adam's apple, and right there. And you just go and fucking flex that Adam's apple, because now you're in the new turf, and you're a lady, but you're not, and this shit goes down, and it gets scrapped, and they're yelling, get her, Betty, get her. But they've not still realized that these huge biceps are not just a result of you benching and squatting like Betty, it's just through fucking genes and like bones, and just your overall makeup is diff. Same, not in here. In here, yes. In there, on the streets, on the confined spaces of the streets, not so much. But that's what I'm saying, man. Make designated trans prisons, designated trans swimming lanes, when they're competing, of course. So that they can win all because that's what it is. Jiu-jitsu, trans jiu-jitsu, fam. Trans jiu-jitsu, all of it is fun. All of it is nice, and I myself, or if that doesn't happen, I will soon try to monopolize on the opportunity to come out and just fucking dominate a couple of sports here and there. You know what I'm talking about? As a full-blown lady, if I feel like it. Boom, doing it, did it, won it. And then I will, but that's the thing, I wanna move this forward. Because right now we have like reg, up until now recently, reg, sex, gender. Now it's progress. We're making progress. We're reassigning genders. I want to push that for. What about no one's ever thought about the reassigning of the genders, and if they have, nobody's ever thought about the reassigning of the genders. That's when you're born with a gender, you reassign a gender to yourself, or someone does it to you. Few years goes by, you assign a new gender, which is back to the old gender, and then to really fucking like just be like, diff, reassign a gender to yourself. And now you've come full circle. No, wait, if you 3 times, you're back to so you know what? 4 times regendering yourself, which is, and And that's the thing. My heart goes out because there's like genuine people out there who, they go through the life, and again, there's like, less than 1% of population is what I'm reading. It's, so there's people genuinely out there and they're adults and they get to make decisions, which is super nice. You're stuck in the wrong body, fam. I don't know what that feels like, but if it's like the thing for you, that makes sense. You're amongst that 1% of the population. This is not some sort of social contagion. You're not a young youth. You're not a hormonal teenager that doesn't know much. I'm talking about a full grown. Let's say whatever. You're past a certain age and you're like, you've made that. I want you to be like happy and healthy with your brand new pair of tits or your brand new vag or your brand new cack. I want you to be happy slanging, dude, and that lady. And I want you to be rocking and rolling and getting all the trophies and showing up to work and making all the men and women who are, thirsty, because that's somebody's got to be. People are. Everyone is to a certain degree, and everyone's got a type. And maybe you're just like fucking killing it, dude. You're killing it, lady. And how did we even get here? Women's Day. That's how we got here. So thank you for, up until now, ladies, doing the heavy lifting, but step aside because there's techs on the horizon, and there's people who will be like, man, and then they'll whatevs to go for it. But that's what I'm saying, man. I wanna like, let's do re gender assignment. Let's do that. No one's doing that, fam. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy town. It's Friday. It's fun-filled, fantastic. Riddle my fiddle Friday. Boys and girls. It's man. It is. It's what it is. It is Women's Day. It was Women's Day, International Women, and women are not just not just to be like thank you for being like there for the procreation, because that's awesome. It keeps keeps maintaining humanity, which is like we depend on it, and like thank you for that. Thank you for Evs for doing it, what I'm saying? But it's not just that, it's just for you. Thank you for being you, what I mean? Thank you for being, having that female energy is pretty fucking dope, not gonna lie. Big fan of it. If you're just like putting it out there, fem energy, all appreciate it. We all do, which is fantastic. That's I genuinely do mean that. If you got it, you rock with it. You lean with it, you rock with it, and you do it big, and you do it fantastically. Thank you for doing that. Amongst these topics that we're talking about today, I've been also reading about more so about the push for, or I guess we're not even trying to talk about, I guess, smart cities. Just to segue a little bit, just skirt for a second, and we might come back to the ladies, because it always goes back. Not always, but I could go back to the ladies, but it might not. So now we're just skirting. We just pulled the old handbrake. We did a little bit of the old twist and turn, and now we're here in smart cities, smart towns. I've been reading a little bit more. I think more and more we're just like trying to like integrate tech with our daily lives, which is beautiful. I love tech. You love tech. Who doesn't love sciences and technologies? We all use them. It's great. I just smart cities. How do you guys and girls and ladies and gents feel about smart cities? We are there's some places, it's called a smart city. It is called a smart city, but it's smart. It's a smart city. It's not like a dumb city. It's not like a city filled with like, it's not a city that's backwards. It's a new city. It's not a new city. It's maybe an old city, but that's been like becoming smart. And what does it mean to be a smart city? Essentially means maybe like integrating your data into a centralized database that could be collected by the government, so that they have access to all your information, like your background, your health stats, your banking info, your whereabouts, your height. Does this fellow suffer from IBS? Does that lady have a yeast infection? Do you have a mole on your shoulder that you've been making frequent trips to the doctor? They'll see it all day if they, and that's a smart city. It's been taken place, and I don't know if it's smart city. It sounds smart city. Like, does it mean that the people will get smart if they're in that smart city? What does it mean? Or like, what about the reg cities that are like regs? Like, are we living in a dumb city now? I don't think our city's dumb. I think our city's pretty fucking smart, fam. If you're one of the top 10 cities in the world, if not, we're there. We're there. So when I look around our city, I'm like, this city's smart. How much smarter can we get, though? How much smarter can we get? And we're getting smarter each and every day, one step at a time, through different. And I'm like, I'm just like looking to the future. I just don't want us to, because there's good ways of incorporating the smartness, the smartphone, fantastic. Incorporate it into your life. It's like, why do I need to even wear a watch? You're like, man, sometimes a watch on a hand of a man is just distinguished. It comes with distinguished territories, like when you're sipping wine and you're swerving it around in the old wine glass, and you gotta bling bling on the wrist, but you could just be looking at your phone but you still, because it's like, it's one of those things that's reminiscent of the past, that was like, oh, a gentleman has buttons on his sleeves, fucking right there, and also a big watch for the sipping of the wine. It's just distinguished. You could go leather, you could go steel, you can get a watch tattoo. Some people have got tattoos of watches on their wrists, just so be like, oh, I'm sipping wine, look at me, be all distinguished, and it's different territories. But I'm just saying, the point is, fam, that we're incorporating smart devices into our lives, and no problem, to a certain degree, to a certain extent. And I just don't want us to, because smart cities, smart technology, a centralized database is, we've seen it happen in places like China, like the Iran, like I've been hearing and seeing. I'm not sure if it's actually being fully implemented, or maybe it's being implemented to varying degrees in places like Australia, where there is digital IDs and whatnot popping up. And these are all aspects of a smart city. And we've already gotten here as well in North America, here in Canada's, in the United States. We already, we talk about these things like, oh man, you don't ever want a social credit score system coming in. We all have these things to varying degrees. It's just like, how much of it do we accept? How much of it are we willing to take and be like, yes, this is providing comfort, easy access to things, but where do we draw the line? Because I know, looking back personally at my own life, way back 10, 15 years ago, even prior to that, everybody had this notion of holding your privacy near and dear to your chesticles. Oh, privacy, don't get up in my business. And now our mentality is shifted. It's, through the use of technology and social media and so many other things, that we're just like willy-nilly putting so much. And this is coming from a guy I share a lot of my life, but that's voluntarily put out there. The point of a centralized data collecting system would just mean you walking around town, and for whatever purchases you want to make, wherever you want to enter, there's little essentially checkpoints where you're like, oh, you want to enter this area, let's beep bop beep boop, whether you're scanning your phone or, hypothetical, later on down the line, chip devices which are put under your skin, and you can just scan it. Or sometimes, I'm assuming down the line, you don't even need to scan it, you just be essentially walking around and getting picked up on some sort of radar, and all your data is just available to everybody. Now, this is the level in terms, and even like social credit scores, we are so like, think about credit cards here in North America. It's the motherland of credit cards. We came up with it collectively. We started this shit. So like, we already have credit score systems. Like, if you got good credit, you get a loan, fam. If you got a long history of good credit, you get loans. If you don't have no credit, have you not built up your credit? So we get trained, we get schooled, we've been primed, essentially. I remember they started to add even not to, you can stretch points and be like, that's a far reach or whatever, but even like the wording or phrases sometimes I pay attention to. I remember just bank cards being bank cards, and at one point we started incorporating the chip factor into it. So we're now verbally getting used to using these. That card's comes with a chip, it's more secure. You put in your chip, you put in your pin, your chip is pin, and your pin is safe, and that's what it is. We chip the pins and we pin the chips, and we're pinning chips and we're chipping pins, and we're just like security, so that we know where it is, we know where you are. And these are all fantastic, but again, it can have ramifications that are negative, and we see it being used to its fullest extent in all its varying degrees in places like China and Iran, where it's basically being used to govern extremely authoritatively, if that makes any sense, which I think it does, because you can clearly see when they're like, man, we're shutting it down, you can't buy shit, we're shutting it down, you can't go to this place, we're shutting it down, you're not coming into this place, we're shutting it down, you're not, you don't have access to electricity, you don't have access to the internet, so you haven't paid your bill, you've been speaking up against whatevs, you have an opinion, oh, shut it down right from a database, shut it down. And that's just like, and now I'm reading, so these are the concerns domestically that you could have from your own government, but now I'm reading from, once again, CSIS, the Canadian Intelligence Services, has come out and actually put out an article warning us against threats that could be caused to smart cities by not just, like I said, the threats that we already have and are engaged in our daily lives by our own domestic doings, if you will, but by interference coming in from abroad. Imagine some, especially with more tech being available to everybody, it could be a terrorist group, it could just be a person or whatever, a group of people who are like, man, I'm just gonna like get inside your database of informations and like switch on the traffic lights on and off. I'm just gonna put them on blinkers and I'll turn it red when it's supposed to be green, and next thing you know, car crash after car crash after car crash, man. And that's crazy town. So that's one instance that they put out. I wonder what else you could do with it. Crazy stuff. You could probably, if everything's centralized and your data's just loose at every corner, at every intersection, your data could be compromised and used to essentially sell more products to you, which is, but the thing is, it'll be used to be like, oh, what does Johnny like? Johnny likes a bag of Doritos, Hustler magazines. That's right, I took it back to the 90s for a second. Hustler magazines and a bunch of Playboys, and maybe a bottle of lotion, maybe a bottle of lube, and it's not much. And Johnny's going to the store. Did I say Johnny? His name was Johnny in this scenario, right? Let's just say it is. Let's just say it is for continuity. For continuity. Johnny is going to the store. It's the 90s, but with smart city tech, because it's a hypothetical situation. Guess what? Johnny's going to be disappointed because he forgot to pay his whatever the fuck bill. And guess what? Until you pay your whatever the fuck bill, you're not getting this Hustlers and Playboys magazines with a bottle of lube and your favorite lotion and a bag of Doritos that you're gonna run home back to and just like flip through the pages of the magazines and be like, yeah, these ladies are tight. And everybody's like, yeah, dude, we got better videos now. Why are you flipping through mags? But like, still, just for the sake of the story, look how disappointed Johnny is. God. Now he's gonna have to be like, oh, I gotta pay this bill until I can get access to my mags. How disappointing is that? It's but it's a little bit, gets me a little bit like, I'm just like, this is as much as I'm comfortable in terms of giving access to information. And like, so whenever I do hear more talks about smart cities, and there's new ones being developed too, like there's this one city that's just being, we've got a few of them. I haven't been or anything, but I've been reading and hearing that we've got a few smart cities in Japan. In China, there's different, obviously, they're doing that whole biometric collection of data where everybody's on cameras, and you're basically, every move you make, every breath you take, every step you take, it's all being recorded, and it's, it could all be used against you for whatever reason should the government find it necessary to want to use anything against you, which is crazy town once again. And I know different places, again, we're all doing it in varying degrees. Like the fact that there is literally, London, I believe, is the most surveilled city on the earth. Hence is what I hear one of the reasons why the police officers don't carry any guns, because there's literally a camera, and I saw it for myself when I paid a visit. Ton of cameras. So what do we say to that? Is it a smart city, or is it state? Is it full state surveillance? How do we feel about that? Do we want more of that, or do we want less of that? Majority public, I would assume, if you spoke about this kind of issue, majority of the public would probably say no bueno. Keep your filthy paws off my personal data. Do not be collecting my biometric data wherever as I go. That's probably the majority of people. But then little by little, it gets introduced through little crises or big crises. Something happens, we all get scared, the government comes in and be like, in order to protect us from this, particular crises, here's a solution. Crises, digital ID solution, biometric solution, which is, all fantastic stuff. And again, it's being deployed in different variants in different parts, because you never know, man. You hear things. You hear like recently, I think they just discovered a new zombie virus. A new zombie virus is apparently just it's what happens when the Earth is got permafrost and thousands of years of just being iced out, and all of a sudden the Earth is like in one particular location. Is like, I'm gonna just queef for a second, queef, melt the permafrost, zombie virus. And that what a wonderful story or cover or reality, whatever it may be, whether it's actually fucking like dead bacteria in permafrost being released, or some sort of a man-made, lab-made and new virus that's being released or gonna be released or something, and we're like, yeah, where did this one come from? The ice. First one was obviously from a bat, dude, and this one's from the ice, fam, is what they might say. I don't know. I'm just saying, not that they will, but I'm just saying it can't. The precedent has been set. That we've got set precedent, and because of the wonderful job and speed that we look thoroughly through actual factual information, and we come to conclusive truths, unbiased, objective. We know how easy it is, so I'm not worried there at all. Fucking zombie virus just spews out zombie virus. Next thing you know, we need to put everybody on major lockdowns and get everybody I need to know where you are. And we're like, this can't happen. Nobody thought the other one wouldn't happen either. And nobody thought the whatever the thing that happens every, we always have a thing. It could be like every, 5, 8, 10 years we have a thing that happens that shakes and bakes the world, baby. We're shaking and baking. And I'm just like, zombie virus? And not for this guy. Hard pass, no thank you, see you never. Let's say we did, but we actually didn't. It's one of those situations where I'm like, you know what, it feels wrong. And sometimes things that do feel wrong aren't actually right. So I'm just saying, be prepared out there, but also like a zombie virus, why is it called a zombie virus? Has anybody caught it? Are they like zombieing out? Is there like, is that why, like, it might be out, and I'm guessing like the zombie virus is already out. I do see some politicians out there sometimes on the telly, and I'm like, it makes sense. Yes, zombie virus. Like, you'll see Hillary Clinton just be like, you know what's killing specifically Ukrainian women? The climate, and everybody's like, are you sure it's not the war and the bullets and the war? She's like, nah, it's specifically what's killing Ukrainian women. Specifically, nobody else isn't of any threat in Ukraine. Not the men that go and like fight the wars and specific. Who's got it worse and women in Ukraine, and it's all due to what? Air, climate. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I'm like, yo, low key, zombie virus, because she's just like oblivious to the fact that everybody's wondering, what are your relations to Jeffrey Epstein, you and your husband and all that jazz? Because we're all like, well, you talking about the air where you're so connected to like a pedophile that's linked to other potential pedophiles. We've got questions. We don't need you to be concerned about ladies in the Ukraine being harmed by the harsh weather. Yeah. So, and we're like, yeah, it's probably the bullets that are killing people. And she's like, no, that's just the air around it. And, and it's instances like that and other instances like, we did it, Joe, we did it. And you see Kamala Harris cackling on TV. You're like, yes, we did it, Joe, we did it. And you're like, oh my God, zombie virus is for reals, dude. It's for reals, and it's cost some of us. How do you stay away? You know what I'm saying? But at the same rate, it might not be that contagious next time. But I do see it. I do see evidence of it existing on live TV all the time. And it's just like, ladies and gents, let's all pull it together. Let's bring it in. Let's have some fun. You know what I'm talking about? Nobody wants Hillary Clinton to talk about the climate, fam. I want you to make available the client list that is existing out there and explain some frequent trips. You frequent flyer, you know what I'm talking about? Hopefully those will be released. It's been like 3-4 years this guy apparently killed himself with no assistance whatsoever, except the fact that the cameras were off and his cellmate was this jacked up, juiced up, roided dude. It's probably like an old school mafioso or something. I don't know. That's why I'm asking questions. It'd be interesting to know. Yeah, so I'm not wondering when I look at the Ukraine, I'm not like, man, I wonder what could be the number one cause of death in the Ukraine. Yeah, it must be the weather. Must be the weather. So, you know, things are happening, things are cooking all around us, ladies and gents, boys and girls. It is Friday. Fuck, dude, this gene editing though, it's interesting because like we might be able to like edit a few genes which are like, sure, you don't want like your kid to come out with whatever disease, but the repercussions are like, that's the thing. If the kids like, because we already have a set of diseases that we know we get that are like, you know, sometimes curable, sometimes, you know, you could live with it. You know, we got, how do you take something out and then not know what it might introduce into, because like somebody might come out like no sickle cell for life, but like all the other cells, like no sickle cell, but they got, you know, they got the tickle cell. You feel me, fam? They're just out there spontaneously tickling themselves and other people. Tickle cell. Oh, and what happened to you, Timmy? You know, my father and mother decided to, you know, splice and dice and try the old gene editing with their sperm. My dad put a sperm in a petri dish, and my mom put her egg in a petri dish. Or my two moms. They took one cell from one of my moms, and then they took another cell from another one of my moms, and then they turned one of my mom's cells into a stem cell, and then they took the other skin cell from my other mom, turned that into a stem cell. They put it in petri dishes, or it might have already been in petri dishes by the time it was already a cell before turning into a stem cell. They shook the petri dish. They zapped it with lasers. They had a little hen or a chicken come sit on it for several days with maybe some sort of red light, just to like really heat it up and keep it warm. And then eventually those stem cells, one of them turned into an egg, one of them turned into a sperm, and then they put them together. More lasers, more chickens, more hens, more sitting, more baking, and eventually they made me. I'm a petri dish baby, and you know, I don't have no sickle cell, but gosh darn it, I wish there was a cure for this tickle cell, fam, because nobody's got it. I'm the only one. All the kids ridicule me, and I can't do nothing but laugh about it because I'm constantly tickling myself and others around me. And it's crazy because no one can tell whether or not am I happy, am I in on the joke, are they laughing with me or at me. And thousands of dollars being now spent on his or her, what do we say, on Tim's tickle cell therapy that he'll have to see a therapist about. Have you thought about this? You know, all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe we'll get rid of that. Maybe we'll get rid of that thing that you got, baby. You don't want that thing that you got being passed on to our baby, and whatever that thing may be that you got, and you don't pass that thing around. You don't pass it around. You cut it right. It was the last. When it was you, it was the last of us. It's the last of us. It's the last of us, man. And that's and you were like, I'm not gonna pass that on, but you then pass down something else. Or they fucking come out with like, you took out the sickle cell, they come out with like extra webbed toes, which will probably actually make them great swimmers. So you know what? Fuck it up. What do I know? I'm not a scientific person. I'm not a science man. I'm not a scientist. I'll science, but I don't put labels on it. I'm outside the box, baby. I'm outside. I don't even see the box. I don't even like boxes. I like things that could be turned into a box. You know what I mean? But like leave it, you know what I mean? Maybe a sketch of a cross, and then you can like divide that cross into squares and then fold it up. And what do you got? A box, but like let me fold it up. I don't need to be in a neat little to science. But that's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. So to all the ladies who are lactating, thank you very much. To all the ladies who are bleeding from the vag, straight up OG style, once a month for 3 to 7 days, thank you very much. You know who it is. Maybe a little bit shorter, maybe a little longer. I don't know. You might be bleeding for 2 days. Maybe you've been blessed with the 1 bleed day per month. Fuck, dude. Are you killing it as a lady out there with like 1 or maybe like 2 days, 1.5, 1 and a quarter, a day and 2 days, 2 day of bleedage, and there's like ladies all around you, your girlfriends are all like bleeding for like 7 days, because what if there's one bleeding for like 8 days or 9 days? Gosh. And she's fucking like, Henrietta with the heavy flow. Henrietta heavy flow is what they'll call her, and you're Lily Light Flow. That's what you are. Lily Light Flow with the 2 day flow. Just showing up to town, making Henrietta feel all bad because she bleeds for 8 days. But guess what? When you put those two numbers together, 2 and 8, the median is 5, and all ladies roughly will probably bleed for about 5 days from their vages. And shout out to those bleeding vages. If you're bleeding today, I'm bleeding with you. Not so much in the physical sense, more of like, I feel ya. Because like I woke up this morning and I had this I had a cramp. I sometimes cramp up. I get gassy. Sometimes I'm like, man, but then I take a shit and it's relieved. So I can't complete, I'm trying. And on a daily, I will cramp up on a daily, and I will, but that's just like, cigarettes and a coffee will fix that right up. That's just medicine, or, old school, holistic way of living and looking at things and life. So, I can't completely relate, but nonetheless, man, there are plenty of men out there willing to say they can, and that's what's important. Men who say they can, and it doesn't really matter what you're all about. When it doesn't really matter what you, it's not the actions that you do, it's what you say that you do. So when it comes to giving out awards, could we have given a few awards to actual ladies? Yes. But that's so 2018, 2019, anything before this little time that we've just had recently together. And I say that's what it is, man. The future is nice. The future is tight. We're making the future together, whatever it holds. I'm very excited. It is snowing here in Canada and Toronto specifically. Again, we are March 10th, which is, we're wrapping it up here. We're wrapping it up in terms of wrapping up the old spring season is around the corner is what I'm trying to say. Like, winter is being wrapped up. If there was a thing that needed to be put in a box and wrapped up and put away until next year, it is winter time in Canada. It's dumping more snow here. Sometimes it does that. It lingers on a little bit longer than typical. But that's just what it is. And that's and I look at this and I'm like, man, I can see how this could be killing people. It's either this or like actual bullets and like a war. But it could be either. Honestly, it's such a close call. Every time I see people dying, I'll see like impoverished neighborhood, a place on earth which is just like, no resources, no infrastructure, no. I look at it, I'm like, what's killing these people? You're like, lack of resources, maybe the fact that they're working 24 hours a day with no sleep and making 10 cents a day. I'm like, man, I wonder what's killing them. And I look around, I'm like, is it the dire circumstances? Is it the fact that they're underpaid, overworked? Maybe they're living somewhat close to some might depict it as be like, oh, modern day slavery. And I'm like, I wonder what's killing it. And then we can be like, it could be anything. It could be the financial pressures. It could be the fact that they don't have access to clean medicine or water. But it could be that or the weather. You know what I mean? It's a close call. I personally don't know. I'll look at a place and I'll be like, man, it's these mines are horrible. These mines are like they're deep in the earth with the soot on the face, and the blood is blood. Right there, blood, right there, Chuck. What's killing him? Is it the job? Is it the fact that he's deep down inside the earth, in Earth's asshole? Is it the fact that he's digging up something from the Earth's asshole, trying to bring it to our plates or our faces? Is it that's killing him or her? Most likely in that situation, him. That, or it could be the weather, fam. It could just be the weather, which is. Yeah, so always, it's easy to look at a situation and be like, I can see clearly what it is the problem, but sometimes it takes somebody else to come in and be like, you know what, It's not the obvious thing. It's not the bullets. It's not the missiles. It's not the bigger, but it's not the tanks. It's not the grenades. It's not the ninja stars. It's not the smoke bombs. It's not the attacking in the evening to catch you off guard. It's not that. It's not bombing cities. It's not running over cities. It's not that's not killing the peoples. What is killing the people specifically? Just targets women, the temperature and the climate. Okay, so not war. That's not killing everybody. What is killing a specific group of people, specifically women, because it is women. If we're gonna kill anybody, specifically we're gonna focus on women, and we're gonna do it through air or something. Boys and girls, ladies and gents, keep on queefing, keep on rocking, keep on taking lots of good care of yourselves. Drink a lot of carrot juice, drink a lot of celery juice, have some sort of, eat berries to cleanse your system. And then if you're between the ages of 45 to 55 and or higher, I do recommend you pop a Viagra. It's Women's Day. Go please your woman, please. If you're a lady between the ages of 45 and plus, also take a Viagra. Report back to us. Did your clit grow? If it did, let me know, please. Otherwise, if you're below that age group, if you're tuning in, you should be all right. Again, everybody's bodies are different. If you feel like you should take something, do it. Take everything. Take all the, fuck it up. Take all the performance enhancing drugs that you can find. Take it all. Take it all. Get jacked, but in like one area. A lot of times, a lot of people like want to get built and jacked again, like looking kind of symmetrical or something. Just like focus on like get a big lump, dude. Come in heavy with a lump on your shoulder / neck, and you can make your own new sport, fam. You could be the fucking like the neck and shoulder, the head, like the head, neck and shoulder lump guy, where you can toss a coin and it'll just like bounce right off because then you work it, fam. I don't know, but I'm just saying, just like you know what it is, your strengths, your weaknesses. Every week we're here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. All right, boys and girls, where can you find these videos? I'm glad you asked. You can find them on Instagram. Go ahead and follow me. Subscribe on YouTube by searching Rob Sadri or Glad You Made It. You want to get back to the show fiscally so you see it grow before your eyes, not between your eyes. Between your eyes, it's between your eyes as well, but also in front of your eyes. Right there. There's your eye. There's the show. There's me. And we're coming together. We are climaxing together, boys and girls. So that's where you can, ladies and gents, is where you can go and help fund the show if you like, if that's your thing. If you're that kind of fella, you're like, how do I make things grow around here? A little fiscal action, you know what I mean? A little bit of that, cha-ching. That's what's up, if you like. And there's plenty of videos for everybody to see, 400 and plus, and we're just getting started. And this is just the fucking beginning. Mark my words. This is just the beginning of our growing phase. We are getting erect. We are staying erect. We are getting comfortable. We are getting cozy. Remember this face. But also, like, remember your mother's face. Fucking remember your mother's face when you're making love to your wife or your husband. Remember your mother's face, because it's not Mother's Day, but it is Women's Day, and essentially it's like, what about the men's? But we'll come back to the men's another time. It is about the ladies, is what I'm trying to say. Have yourself a wonderful fucking weekend wherever you are. I love you. I'll be back here again, you sexy bitches, on Monday. Peace out.